When Ethan first presented as a premium alpha, the Phenomenal Blast sent nearly every Omega at Northgate High into a sudden, chaotic heat. They swarmed him, a desperate tide drawn to his overwhelming scent. Alex had thrown himself in front of a weakened Ethan, acting as a human shield. He'd emerged from the fray with scratches crisscrossing his face, refusing to release his grip on his friend until the paramedics and police finally managed to pull them apart. The incident ossified Ethan's disgust for Omegas and cemented his deep, almost suffocating reliance on Alex. He would often lean on Alex, burying his face in the crook of his friend's neck and murmuring about how lucky Alex was to be a beta, immune to the distracting noise of pheromones. Alex always agreed, gently angling his head away. He loved Ethan, had loved him since they were kids, which was why at 18, when he presented as a low-grade Omega with an almost undetectable scent, he knew he could never tell him. A striking male Omega walked past them on the campus quad, his gaze lingering on Ethan for a moment too long. Alex saw Ethan's brow furrow and his lips press into a thin line. Alex asked what was wrong. Ethan muttered that it was the pheromones, the cloying scent of an Omega, and how much he hated it. A familiar ache tightened in Alex's chest. He could only tell himself that Ethan didn't know. He steered his friend to the inside of the sidewalk, creating a buffer. Ethan, confused for a second, then smiled gratefully, commenting on how thoughtful Alex was. As always, he draped an arm over Alex's shoulders. The movement dislodged Ethan's own scent, something clean like ozone after a storm mixed with burnt sugar. It was a fragrance that drove Omegas wild for a reason. Alex bit the inside of his cheek. It was a small mercy that his own Omega biology was weak, his senses dull. With enough focus, he could maintain control. He had resolved to carry this secret for the rest of his life, choosing Ethan's friendship over a love that would surely be met with revulsion. Suddenly, Ethan pulled back, leaning in close to Alex's neck. The warmth of his breath sent a shiver down Alex's spine. He asked if Alex was wearing cologne, saying he could smell something faint. Alarm shot through Alex. He instinctively raised a hand to block Ethan, taking a quick step back. The reaction was too fast, too telling. The senses of a premium alpha were no joke. Ethan froze, a flicker of confusion in his eyes. Alex scrambled for a lie, claiming a friend had given him a bottle of cologne and he was just trying it out. Ethan's gaze dropped to the hand still held between them. He let Alex's defensive posture push him back slightly, then asked who gave it to him and why. At a loss, Alex invented a friend from his architecture club, someone he'd helped with a final presentation who had bought it as a thank you gift. Ethan nodded slowly, his tone unreadable as he stated that his friend had poor taste. The scent, he said, didn't suit Alex at all. He preferred how Alex used to smell. Alex's eyes fell to the pavement. There was perhaps nothing more humiliating than being told your own pheromones didn't suit you, especially by the person you loved. It was like being stripped bare in public only to be met with a shrug of indifference. He asked what Ethan meant by his old smell. He wasn't an alpha or an omega, he shouldn't have a scent. Ethan looked stunned, immediately grabbing Alex's arm and apologizing. He stammered that he knew Alex was a beta. That wasn't what he meant. Alex pulled his arm free, cutting him off. He said he had to get to class and they could talk later. Without waiting for a reply, he turned and walked toward the humanities building. Architecture was in the opposite direction, so Ethan had no choice but to let him go. Sitting in his lecture, Alex felt a strange warmth spreading through him. His reaction earlier had been too emotional, too volatile. At that distance, Ethan shouldn't have been able to smell anything. A knot of panic formed in his stomach. Felt like a heat, but his cycle wasn't due for another month. As a low-grade Omega, it only happened 4 times a year and never for long. He opened the secure messaging app for his doctor and typed out his concerns. The reply was almost immediate. The doctor asked if he had been around a premium alpha. When Alex confirmed he had, the doctor explained that a premium alpha's pheromones could induce and alter an Omega cycle, even a low-grade one. If he wanted to maintain his current lifestyle, he needed to keep his distance. Alex stared at the screen for a long time before typing back a thank you. After his last class, he saw Ethan waiting by the entrance of the building, a head taller than everyone else in the crowd. Their eyes met, and Ethan immediately began pushing his way against the flow of students to reach him. Alex sighed and walked to meet him halfway. Ethan noted that his class ran late. Alex explained the professor had kept them over. After a moment of silence, Ethan said he was sorry about what happened at lunch, that he only meant he didn't like the cologne. He was still fixated on it. Alex was surprised. It wasn't a big deal. His own impending heat had just made him oversensitive. He clapped Ethan on the shoulder and smiled, assuring him it was fine and that he'd been in a bad mood. He promised not to wear the cologne again. Ethan's face relaxed into a relieved smile. As he asked where they should go for dinner, a sickeningly sweet scent suddenly flooded the air. The crowd erupted into chaos. Someone shouted that an Omega was in heat. Ethan's expression changed instantly. He gritted his teeth, veins pulsing on his neck. It was a premium Omega, the kind whose scent could drive alphas into a frenzy. Low growls started to ripple through the crowd as alpha pheromones saturated the air, thick with possessiveness. A wave of heat shot up from Alex's feet. He bit his tongue hard and yelled for someone to get a professor, then grabbed Ethan's hand and sprinted in the opposite direction. They didn't stop until they were far away, the cool evening air finally clearing Alex's head. He handed a bottle of water to Ethan, who was slumped on a park bench, breathing heavily. Ethan waved a hand, saying he was fine, that his family had put him through training for situations like this. He took the water with a faint smile, murmuring that he was glad Alex was there. Alex hesitated before patting his shoulder in reassurance. Ethan's head drooped. In a low, furious voice, he said it was disgusting. How Omegas were just like animals going into heat anywhere, anytime. The undisguised hatred in his voice was a physical blow. Alex felt a dull pain in his chest, knowing they were all victims in this biological lottery, but he couldn't say anything. Ethan looked up at him, his voice softening as he repeated how glad he was that Alex was a beta. A full checkup at the clinic confirmed it. Ethan's pheromones were advancing his heat cycle. The next one would be soon, and the doctor warned him that an induced heat could be far more intense than what he was used to. A persistent fog was already settling over his mind. He decided to request a few days off from the university. He had a club meeting that afternoon, so he texted Ethan to go home without him. When he arrived, the club room was empty. He slumped onto a desk, the heavy feeling in his head pulling him into a light doze. A jacket suddenly fell over his shoulders. A voice asked why he was sleeping there. Alex looked up blearily to see Mark, his former roommate and a senior in his program. Mark's brow was furrowed with concern as he draped the jacket more securely around Alex. He commented that Alex didn't look well and asked if his heat was starting. The question cut through the fog. A fresh wave of feverish energy coursed through him. It was really happening. Mark was one of the few who knew he was an Omega. He had found Alex in their dorm room during a sudden heat a year ago and got him to the hospital. Alex had moved out shortly after, assuming it was a fluke. Only later did he realize it was because Mark was also a premium alpha. Alex mumbled that he thought so, trying to stand. His body swayed, and he nearly collapsed before Mark caught him. his expression growing more worried. Mark asked if he needed to go to the hospital. Alex gripped the table to steady himself as his phone buzzed in his pocket. Before he could answer it, the door to the room swung open. Ethan stood in the doorway, his face a cold, expressionless mask. His gaze fell first to Mark's arm, still steadying Alex, then to the jacket draped over Alex's shoulders. He lowered his phone from his ear and ended the call. The ringing in Alex's pocket stopped. Ethan stated flatly that Alex hadn't answered his texts. Alex forced himself to stand straight, his mind racing. He apologized, saying he hadn't seen the phone. He asked why Ethan was there. This was the worst possible time. If Ethan got any closer, he would smell the pheromones leaking out of him. The thought of Ethan discovering the truth, of the disgust that would follow, made his stomach churn. He told Ethan not to come any closer. The words came out sharper than he intended. Ethan froze. Alex couldn't find an excuse, couldn't bring himself to look at his friend. Ethan's voice, when he spoke, was like ice. He said that Alex was covered in the other man's scent, that he must not be able to feel it because he was a beta but everyone else could, and they would get the wrong idea. Before Alex could process the words, a crushing wave of Ethan's pheromones slammed into the room. He heard Mark grunt beside him. It was a hostile, deliberate suppression, an alpha challenging another. Ethan was furious. In self-defense, Mark released his own pheromones. The two scents collided, and the fragile clarity Alex had been clinging to shattered. His legs gave out. Mark reacted instantly, catching him. He snarled at Ethan to back off, telling him Alex was unwell. Ethan seemed to snap out of his rage, his eyes widening in shock. He rushed forward, asking what was wrong, offering to take Alex to the hospital. Alex used his last bit of strength to turn his head away, choking out the words for Ethan not to come near, not to see him in this state he so despised. The movement made Ethan freeze in his tracks. Alex's vision blurred as he begged Mark to take him to the hospital. As Mark lifted him, a sharp pain lanced through his body. The pain lessened slightly as they passed Ethan, but it was still enough to bring tears to his eyes. When he woke up, he was in a hospital bed with an M4 in his hand. Mark was sitting beside him, texting. Seeing Alex awake, he put his phone away and helped prop him up. He explained it was a pheromone stabilizer. Alex thanked him weakly. Mark just smiled, saying it was no problem. He glanced at his watch and said he had to leave, asking if Alex would be okay on his own. Alex nodded immediately, not wanting to be more of a burden. As Mark was about to leave, he turned back, a thoughtful expression on his face. He mentioned that Alex's pheromone leakage had been minimal and mostly covered by his own scent. He guessed Ethan probably hadn't noticed. He then apologized if he was overstepping, but said he got the feeling Alex didn't want Ethan to know he was an Omega. Alex quickly assured him he wasn't offended and confirmed that he preferred to keep it a secret. Mark didn't press further, just told him to call if he needed anything, and left. Alex sank back against the pillows, Ethan's furious expression replaying in his mind. It was nearly 10 o'clock by the time the 4-drip finished. He picked up his prescription for suppressants and took a cab home, texting Mark to let him know he'd made it safely. As the car approached his apartment building, he saw a familiar figure sitting on the steps and told the driver to stop. Ethan was wearing a black hoodie, the hood pulled up, staring down at his phone. Alex called his name. Ethan's head snapped up. He stood as Alex approached, asking how he was feeling. Alex said he was fine and asked why Ethan was there. After a moment's hesitation, Ethan said he was worried he'd disturb Alex if he texted. Alex sighed and pulled out his keys. He told Ethan to come inside, that it was too cold to talk out there. As he unlocked the door, Ethan suddenly grabbed his hand, his voice tight. He asked if Alex was with Mark. Before Alex could even process the question, Ethan cut him off. He sneered that the cologne must have been from Mark, too. That he'd known something was off, that Alex never wore anything like that. He accused Alex of being overly protective of a simple gift. Ethan's voice grew louder, angrier, wondering why Alex had gotten so upset over a simple comment. Rage, white-hot and blinding, consumed Alex. He shouted at Ethan, asking if he was done. Ethan roared back that he wasn't. He didn't understand why Alex would want to be with an alpha. After all these years, he thought he knew Alex. He started to make a crude, vicious assumption about what Mark must have done to him. Alex's fist connected with Ethan's jaw, the impact silencing him. He was shaking with fury, struggling to breathe. He screamed that Ethan didn't know him at all, that he was insulting Mark and spouting lies. He didn't know that Alex was an Omega, or that he was in love with him. The words hung in the cold air. Ethan slowly turned his head back, his eyes red-rimmed. He agreed that he didn't know Alex. But he shot back, asking if Alex knew Mark, if he knew how dangerous an alpha's rut could be. He demanded to know what a beta like Alex could possibly offer an alpha, that Mark would inevitably leave him for an Omega. The cruelty of the words pushed Alex over the edge. He yelled back, asking why Ethan didn't just go find an Omega himself. Ethan froze, the anger draining from his face, replaced by a deep, hollow pain. Alex immediately regretted it, but it was too late. Ethan's voice was barely a whisper when he asked if Alex really loved Mark that much, enough to wound him so deeply. Alex's own anger evaporated, replaced by panic. He tried to apologize, to explain, but Ethan didn't let him. He said he understood now. He let go of Alex's hand, which was red from his grip. He wiped at his own face and said he hadn't been himself tonight, that Alex should forget it. He turned and walked away before Alex could reach for him. In the week that followed, they didn't speak. It was the longest and deepest silence they had ever shared. Alex stared at his phone, finally texting Ethan's close friend, Kevin. He asked if he was busy. Kevin replied a few minutes later, saying he was just running around with Ethan. When Alex asked where, Kevin explained that Ethan was busy with meetings for an arranged match with Jessica Hale, the daughter of the Hale Pharmaceuticals CEO. The name was familiar, an old, powerful family, and Jessica was a premium Omega. Alex had known Ethan would end up with someone eventually, but he never imagined it would be so soon, or that it would be an Omega. Kevin sent another text, asking if he and Ethan had fought. The question was so obvious it was almost funny. Alex admitted they had. Kevin sent a location, a downtown lounge. He suggested Alex come down, that Ethan would be there later. He said they were brothers and no fight was too big to fix. After the way they had left things, Alex knew he owed Ethan an apology. He agreed to go. On his way to the lounge, he passed by an upscale restaurant. A glimpse through the window made him stop dead. Ethan and Jessica were sitting at a table, laughing and talking. Ethan looked different. He wasn't frowning at the presence of an Omega. He didn't look like he needed Alex standing by his side as a shield. The realization hit Alex with the force of a physical blow. Ethan didn't need him to survive. This was how it was supposed to be. Ethan would have his own life, a partner he loved. And maybe, with enough time, Alex could let go of his own hopeless feelings. All it took was one fight, one catalyst, for their paths to diverge permanently. He pulled out his phone and texted Kevin, making an excuse about a professor needing him. Kevin replied that it was no problem, they'd do it next time. A next time they both knew would never come. As Alex put his phone away, he saw Jessica link her arm through Ethan's as they left the restaurant together. Alex threw himself into his studies, a strategy to keep his mind off Ethan. It worked until the phone call came. It was Ethan's mother. Her voice was frantic, choked with tears, a chaotic noise in the background. She said Ethan was in his rut. The suppressants weren't working, and no one could get near him. She was crying as she explained that the doctors couldn't help, that he was too aggressive. She said Alex was her only hope. As a beta, he wouldn't be affected by the pheromones, and Ethan would never hurt him. Alex froze. He asked if she had called Jessica Hale. Mrs. Vance hesitated, then explained that Jessica had already tried to go in. She had gotten hurt. She begged Alex to come, saying the police were threatening to use high-pressure water cannons. The thought of that hitting Ethan, even in a rut-numbed state, was horrifying. Alex stood up immediately, telling her not to worry, that he was on his way. He injected himself with a dose of suppressant. Then, thinking of the sheer power of Ethan's pheromones, gritted his teeth and administered a second. The family driver sped toward the suburban estate. When they arrived, the property was surrounded. Police and paramedics were in a heated discussion. Alex spotted Jessica sitting on a low garden wall, a medic bandaging her arm. Her eyes, sharp and intelligent, locked onto his. He ignored her stare and went to Ethan's mother. She grabbed his hands, telling him to come out immediately if he was in any danger. He gave her a reassuring squeeze and walked toward the house. The moment he stepped inside, his legs nearly buckled. The air was thick, almost liquid with Ethan's pheromones. His own glands burned in response, and he thanked God for the double dose of suppressants. He forced himself up the stairs, heading straight for Ethan's room. He called his name as he pushed open the door and was hit by a wall of scent that made him stagger. The room was destroyed. Broken vials of suppressants littered the floor among scattered clothes. In the center of the chaos on the bed was Ethan. He was on his knees, a raw, guttural sound tearing from his throat, something between a roar and a sob. He was surrounded by a nest, a fortress built from years of Alex's own forgotten clothes. The sight was so shocking, Alex couldn't move. Then Ethan looked up. His face was streaked with tears, but his expression was feral, poised to kill any intruder. But when he saw Alex, he froze. The ferocity vanished, replaced by a fresh torrent of tears that streamed down his face. He choked out Alex's name, his voice breaking. He stumbled out of the nest, his bare feet landing on the broken glass, drawing blood. Alex screamed at him to stop, that he would come to him, but Ethan was already lunging forward, pulling him into a crushing embrace. His tears were hot against Alex's neck. He sobbed, asking if Alex was leaving him, why he loved Mark, why he loved an alpha. He cried that he had loved Alex first, always. It was a raw, broken wail of someone who had lost everything. Alex was too stunned to speak. Ethan's confession tumbled out between gasps. He'd loved him since high school, since the day he presented. He hated Omegas, but sometimes he wished Alex was one. But then he'd get scared, terrified of Alex being vulnerable, of not being there to protect him. He'd planned to confess after graduation. He kept repeating that he loved him first, a desperate, childish mantra. Alex felt his own eyes burn. He let his body relax, finally allowing his own pheromones, the scent of cool spring water, to release into the air. Ethan's sobs hitched. He abruptly pushed Alex away, his hand flying to his nose and mouth. His face flushed a deep red, veins standing out on his neck. He gasped, trying to force the words out through the haze of his rut, telling Alex to get out, that he was acting strange, that he might hurt him. In that moment, Alex reached back and ripped the invisible scent-blocking patch from his neck. He looked directly into Ethan's unfocused, desperate eyes. "Ethan," he said, his voice clear and steady, "I'm an Omega, so what are you going to do about it?" He came to 3 days later. Ethan was kneeling by the bed. Alex didn't even have the strength to hit him. He tried to speak, but his voice was a raw croak. Ethan immediately fetched him a glass of water, helping him sit up. When he could finally speak, Ethan asked, his voice trembling, when Alex had presented. Alex told him it had been 2 years. The confession seemed to shatter Ethan. His eyes reddened again as he asked why Alex hadn't told him. Alex was quiet for a moment before reminding him how much he hated Omegas. He was afraid of losing their friendship. Ethan's lips trembled. He whispered that he was sorry. Alex cut him off, saying he knew about the incident, which is why he'd never blamed him. But Ethan shook his head, his expression turning serious. He said that from now on, Alex had to trust him. It didn't matter what his designation was. He would always love him. Anything he thought he disliked, Alex would be the exception. He said he understood now that Alex hadn't told him because he didn't believe Ethan could love him enough to make that exception. Alex knew he was right. It had been his own lack of faith. He finally nodded in agreement. Then, not missing a beat, Ethan asked about Mark. Alex was exasperated, but the old anger flared up. He stated firmly that they were just friends from the same program. Ethan pressed on, asking why he'd gone to Mark when he felt unwell. Alex explained it was because his heat had started, and he didn't want Ethan to know. Ethan then wanted to know why Mark was allowed to know. Alex spelled it out for him, because he didn't care if Mark hated Omegas. He didn't love Mark. Then he looked Ethan in the eye and said, "I love you." Ethan fell silent. A slow blush crept up his neck, and he bit his lip to hide a smile. He whispered another apology, followed by a quiet thank you. It was later that Alex found out Ethan's mother had called the university and arranged a week-long leave for both of them. It was also later that he found out it was Jessica Hale who had stopped the police from storming the villa. And now, nearly a month after the rut, she had somehow found his number and requested a private meeting, insisting he not tell Ethan. When Alex arrived at the private room in the restaurant, Jessica was already eating. She waved him in casually. Alex sat and took a polite bite of food before getting to the point. Jessica swallowed, her sharp eyes fixing on him. She said she'd heard a lot about him and wanted to know when he had presented as an Omega. Now that everything was out in the open, Alex saw no reason to lie. He told her it had been 2 years ago. She nodded. She explained that her meetings with Ethan had been a mutually beneficial arrangement. Her father was pushing her to get married, and Ethan was a suitable candidate. In return, she had something he desperately wanted, so they played their parts. She sighed, a strange smile playing on her lips. She said it must have been hard on him, pretending to tolerate her pheromones when he hated them so much. But then she asked if Alex wanted to know why Ethan's suppressants had failed during his rut. She took another bite, explaining that the item he wanted was very precious. In addition to playing her fiancé, he had to provide something in return. Rut state glandular fluid, drawn without suppressants. Alex shot to his feet. Glandular fluid was the very essence of an alpha or omega's biology. Extracting it was dangerous, invasive, and usually only done posthumously for scientific purposes. For a premium alpha like Ethan, the damage would be magnified. Jessica calmly told him not to worry, that she only took a small amount for research. He wouldn't suffer any permanent damage. Alex sat back down, his voice low and dangerous as he asked what Ethan wanted from her. Jessica's fox-like eyes curved into a smile. She leaned forward, her voice a conspiratorial whisper. Something only I could get my hands on. An illegal, experimental drug that can turn a beta into an omega. The walk home was a blur. Jessica's parting words echoed in his head. She had warned him to be careful, that Ethan was a madman, willing to risk a lifetime in prison to get a drug that could change and bind Alex to him forever. She told him to check the basement of Ethan's house. When Alex got back, Ethan was in the kitchen, a spatula in hand. He told Alex to relax and that dinner would be ready soon. Alex gave a non-committal grunt and, as soon as Ethan was distracted, headed for the door to the basement. At the bottom of the stairs was a heavy, dark door. He pushed it open. The room beyond was not the dungeon he expected. It was softly lit and warm. There was a large, comfortable-looking bed with unused restraints laid neatly on the covers. Nearby was a cart with medical supplies and even a heart rate monitor. In the corner was a storage chest. Alex opened it and found his old gaming consoles and all his favorite games from when they were kids. If he had really been a beta, if he had chosen Mark, Ethan had been planning to bring him here, to change him, to keep him forever. Hurried footsteps pounded on the stairs. Ethan appeared in the doorway, panic etched on his face. He started to stammer an explanation. Alex cut him off. He was not a violent person, but Ethan had a unique talent for pushing him to the brink. With a dangerously calm voice, he told Ethan to come over to him. Ethan swallowed, slowly walked forward, and stood before him. Alex told him to clench his teeth. After a moment's hesitation, Ethan did. Alex hit him. Twice. Ethan slept on the couch for a month. He cleaned out the basement, and Alex watched him smash the vial of contraband medicine. Only then did Alex start to speak to him again. The fragile peace was tested when their senior project advisor paired Alex with Mark. They needed to meet to finalize their topic. When Ethan heard the meeting was at Mark's house, he insisted on coming, transforming from a penitent couch dweller into a preening rival. He slicked his hair back, put on his best clothes, and muttered to his reflection that he wasn't going to lose. Mark lived in a nice house just outside the city. When they rang the bell, the door was opened not by Mark, but by a man who was taller than Alex, with pale skin and a cold, beautiful face that held a hint of aggression. He asked who they were looking for, his voice a low, gravelly rasp. Alex explained they were there to see Mark for their project. The man thought for a second, then opened the door wider and told them to come in, that Mark was cooking. As they followed him inside, Alex couldn't help but notice the chaotic pattern of bite marks on the man's neck. Some fresh, some scabbed over. He coughed to cover his embarrassment. Beside him, Ethan scoffed quietly, whispering that he thought Mark was supposed to be a good guy. A sharp glare from Alex silenced him. In the living room, Mark popped his head out of the kitchen and greeted them, offering them food. Alex declined, saying they'd already eaten. Mark directed them to his office upstairs and said he'd be up in a minute. He then carried plates of food from the kitchen and set them in front of the cold-looking man, along with a large slice of strawberry cake. The man ignored the main course and immediately started on the cake. Mark just smiled knowingly. Ethan suddenly placed his hands on either side of Alex's head, physically turning it forward. "Watch where you're going," he said, his smile not reaching his eyes. Alex protested that he was just curious about Mark's partner. Ethan's grip didn't loosen. "Not as good-looking as me." With Ethan determined to get them out of there as quickly as possible, the meeting was brutally efficient. They finalized their project framework in record time. As they were leaving, Mark offered to walk them out. Downstairs, the other man had finished eating and was now asleep on the couch, curled up while SpongeBob SquarePants played quietly on the TV. The contrast was startling. Mark smiled softly, went to his partner, and gently lifted him into his arms. The car ride back was silent. Finally, Alex asked Ethan what was wrong. Ethan's voice was heavy when he asked, again, if Alex was sure he didn't like Mark. Alex was bewildered. Of course he was sure. Ethan's brow furrowed. He demanded to know why Alex had been staring, why he had seemed so lost in thought. Alex was stunned. He explained he wasn't thinking about Mark, but about his partner. He was just curious. I'm not, Ethan snapped, his answer immediate and sharp. Why should I be curious about anyone but you? A blush crept up Alex's face. He conceded the point. Ethan was still sulking, staring straight ahead. Alex sighed. Okay, I was wrong. I'm sorry. He opened his arms. Come here. Kish. Ethan's expression wavered, but he didn't move. Hurry up. My arms are getting tired, Alex prompted. Slowly, Ethan leaned over. Alex planted a firm kiss on his lips. Can you only be curious about me from now on? Ethan asked softly. Okay, Alex agreed. Now another one. Ethan leaned in again. Another. Okay. And another. In the end, Alex had to kiss him more than 20 times in the parked car before Ethan finally started the engine. The sullen mood completely gone, replaced by a quiet, contented smile. Alex leaned back in his seat, watching him. Maybe he was spoiling him. But then he couldn't help but smile too. When it came to Ethan, he had always been hopelessly, completely lost.